arrived at Brighton, and it is a bit of a chilly day here today given the time of year, but I think Newcastle fans today are just desperate to see them get onto the winning track and get into the right position going into those final few games. And yesterday Newcastle dropped the fourth. It's where Newcastle want to be this season, obviously the top four, top five, but I think ultimately today is probably the acid test, because Brighton haven't got too much to play for. They're clinging on in terms of trying to get to Europe, but I think for Newcastle this is probably a must win when you look at the last four games. I think Newcastle got probably win 3 from 4, definitely today, and obviously the 2 home games, Chelsea and Everton. Arsenal will be tough, so for me 3 wins from 4, but we've got to get the results here today just to get back into 3rd place. Who knows, could catch Arsenal getting beat off Bournemouth at home yesterday, but yeah, for Eddie Howe, he's said a few times now that, you know, this is in Newcastle's own hands. You don't need to really be looking at other results. If you can get the win here today, they're in a superb position. Well, where do you start with that one? Newcastle United never far away from drama, and certainly in this game. Craig Pawson, the man in the centre of a storm, pointing at the spot 3 times, and Newcastle United eventually getting awarded a spot kick after 2 narrow misses from Pawson in terms of his decision making. He initially, on the on-field decisions for the first 2, when Gordon got tripped and Willock went flying, were penalties. That was his on-field decision. He then consulted the screen and decided it was not an opportunity for Newcastle to equalise, having fell behind to a minute ago, but eventually the pressure told for Newcastle. A free kick ended up hitting the hand of a Brighton defender, and Isak coolly stepped up, and at that point it looked like Newcastle were keen to push on and get another goal to win the game, which would have been some finish here, but ultimately Newcastle will take the point. At one point it looked like they weren't going to get anything from this game, so this is probably a welcome score draw for Newcastle. 63 points now with 9 to play for. You feel that It was always going to be about the home games. If Newcastle can beat Everton and Chelsea at St James's Park, I personally think that'll be enough for them to get in the Champions League. I mean, they've drawn 1-1 here today. It could have been a lot worse. I'm actually feeling quite relieved that Newcastle escaped here with a draw. It could have been more, but it could have been so much worse. Let's take the positives from this one, dust ourselves down and get ready for the next home game.
Well, back from Brighton and Newcastle United now, looking ahead to that game against Chelsea. The journey back last night, a long one for the Newcastle fans, but I think I could hear Newcastle fans everywhere. I went from, leaving the Amex Stadium, going through London, back up to the northeast, all in good spirits, all buoyed by that late equaliser from Alexander Isak. And I wonder what psychological bearing that might just have on the remaining 3 fixtures for Newcastle, because suddenly they go into it sort of almost with tails up, because I think if you looked at that game yesterday beforehand, everybody wanted the win and wanted Newcastle to bolster their position in the top 3. But look, things unfold differently sometimes in matches, and Newcastle in the end got that vital equaliser. I thought there was some good performances in the whole game from Newcastle. A few others might have dipped a little bit, but you're going to get that at this stage of the season. But I think, really for me, Harvey Barnes was very much the danger man for Newcastle when they got him on the ball, caused problems, won the free kick that led to the penalty that got the equaliser, which got the point. I actually gave Isak a 7 in that game. A few people were questioning that on the player ratings, but for me, you show that ice cool composure in front of goal for such a vital penalty, and bearing in mind he's had to go through that process 3 times after, Craig Pawson pointing the spot 3 times. I think you deserve an extra point for that. It wasn't his best game from open play, but then Newcastle didn't really get him on the ball as much as they could. The service wasn't as good as it could have been, and I think Isak's just going through one of those periods as a striker where things just aren't falling his way as much as they were earlier in the season. But look, he's got 23 Premier League goals now, second top in the Premier League scorers, and you do not write him off. You do not dismiss what he's done this season. And not every player's going to be at the top of the game. But look, for me, just for scoring the penalty, you deserve extra praise, because we've seen them missed. We've seen vital penalties missed in Newcastle games down the years, and that one was ice cold. And look, I think in the aftermath, the fact that he's trying to fight the goalkeeper to get the ball back, to get the game restarted, tells everybody else that he's trying to win the game. He's not settling for a point, he's not settling for the draw. He's going to try to get another goal, he's going to try to win the game, and I think that was a really big positive sign for Newcastle United fans. Now, going into Chelsea, Newcastle might have a couple of assessments to make on players. Kieran Trippier come off. We're told that one was cramp. Fabian Schär suspected muscle injury, and that one will have to be assessed. But the good thing is Sven Botman is available again. He came on at the end, and again the ever reliable Emil Kraft as well. So Newcastle are in a decent place going into the last 3 games. Chelsea, well, that game sells itself. It'll be a white atmosphere. Newcastle know if they win, then they're pretty much exactly where they want to be. A draw then takes it, to the other sort of part of the season where it's uncertainty. But a defeat has to be unthinkable for Newcastle. They've worked so hard. They've got to go and take this opportunity at St James's Park at the weekend. It's getting exciting, and I think for Newcastle fans, They'll be celebrating whatever happens. They'll be celebrating what's been a fantastic season. But I think just for me, getting that Champions League place will be icing on the cake. Let's hope they can do it in the next 3 games.